overpowered the police.
Barrier.
During the barrier of Abiriga, they overpowered the police and chased the police away.
Oh my God! And then they took charge.
And then they took charge because the army wanted to be in charge because Abiriga had served in the army and stuff. They chased them away. So when you're going to such a place as a president, you then have to prepare yourself because you know the kind of people you're going to face. They are always working together like this. And one thing I know about Arua is like for them, it's not just about political parties. It's not even about, it's about a person they have chosen. And if it's you that they have chosen, you can never cross anything beyond that. So I am very sure President Museveni came knowing anyone who comes in your path, please clear.
So now what my task during the night was to help Brian, and Brian was a big guy. So carrying Brian was
So you guys abandoned the car somewhere?
We didn't abandon the car, but we didn't do the life they wanted. I was helping Brian, and everything during the night. The morning, then we had to move and go out of.
So you guys left Arua?
Yes, we left Arua in the morning.
Did you just head straight to Kampala, or you stopped over somewhere?
In Kampala, we were going to Kampala.
Was Brian able to drive in the morning?
Yes, he was able to drive because he was seated. His problem was standing. I don't know what they had done to him. I don't know. Those people, I think they are trained. I don't know what they had done to him. His problem was standing, going down, standing, going down. The guy he couldn't stand. So that was his problem. Then another thing, some of the journalists' equipment, like their gadgets, were taken in the morning. Because some guys...
in the morning, how?
Some guys, after hearing what the fracas, decided to go in the morning and start covering Pacific and everything.
So were this a new set of people who didn't know what had happened in the night?
They knew, but they wanted to cover the story.
So they went back anyway. They're like, let's go and see what
my thinking is they are thinking, maybe things have calmed down now.
Things have calmed down. For us, what happened? For us, we removed everything NTV. We are like, look, me, I wear the shirt, I don't know where I got it from, and a small trouser, I don't know, it was looking like it. I was like the local there.
You guys go to the market or something?
Yes, it was a 3/4 like this. It looked like those people. Yeah. So we were moving around just like the original people. Yes, you can't put media on yourself on that day. It was something very hard.
So the guys who had gone back, what happened? So they go back. And then their cameras are...
No, they went to cover in the morning, but they were chased and they left the cameras there, and the cameras were confiscated. But they were not our team. For us, we knew. We knew we already crossing. We were somewhere there.
We were somewhere on the way out of Arua.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Moses, how were you keeping up with events now that your team was already out of commission?
Well, like I said. One, we had been in touch with the regional police commander at that time, and he kept updating us. Now he eventually told us that the Herbert and Mwanga had been taken to Gulu, but he had no idea where these guys were. But he was sure, he sent teams outside there, and he was sure they had not seen them anywhere. So we kept calling him. I think he finally got tired of us. But we kept calling him, and he assured us that the situation would return to normal and we would be able to cover the election. At the time, of course, the Electoral Commission also issued a statement. The army also issued a statement indicating that they were looking for anyone and everyone who had been involved in throwing stones at the presidential convoy. They shared with us pictures of the shattered screens of the vehicle, and but we made a conscious decision to send a team anyway to cover the election, the by-election.
What were the instructions for the new team?
The instructions were that the team had to stay in close contact with the police and the Electoral Commission for their own safety. And to report to us if there was any circumstance that required them to eventually then return to Kampala, in case there were riots or anything, any disturbance. Fortunately, the election passed off smoothly.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about the election. The election was like 2 days later?
It was a day and a
half
later.
Later, after the whole fracas.
What I can note is that, yes, Tiperu did vote for herself, and I think Bruce.
Yes, and Bruce Musama.
But who eventually won the election did not vote for himself because he was in Gulu with the other people who had been arrested, including some of the civilians, the supporters. I think it was a nurse and a gentleman who were on crutches.
Yeah.
He had been beaten. There was a lady whose back had been badly beaten.
Yeah, she's called Sarah. She's Sarah.
I think she was eventually brought to Kampala.
Yeah.
I think they were using...
Who was she in this whole thing? Was she like a friend to the campaign?
She was part of the campaigning team for Wadri. Actually, I have, as a journalist, visited them and done several stories about them. Many of them are from Terego. There's a gentleman called Shaban Atiku from Terego. Then Sarah, I forget her other name, is also from Terego. Then two other gentlemen, they are all from Terego. So Wadri used most of the people he had been using in his previous elections. So most of the people who were arrested that night and tortured were mainly from Terego, but also backed by the team that was coming from Kampala, the FDC people, the DP people. What was challenging though was FDC had their own candidate, but you'd find that some people had crossed already come and gone into...
They were now in Kassiano's.
Into Kassiano's.
Yeah, that's why it was very confusing.
The most confusing thing was, during the day, and this is something that Jeff can actually attest to, when Bobby Wine, when Dr. Kizza Besigye was campaigning for Bruce Musema, Bobby Wine came with his caravan, and that what?
Yes.
The grader.
Yeah,
and they passed by Dr. Kizza Besigye's rally, and it almost went empty. It almost was left empty. He was left with barely 27 people.
All the people followed
the people followed the grader and Bobby Wine and the Kassiano Wadri. And for them, they were moving on foot, doing all that. And the same had happened in the Chadondo election. Dr. Kizza Besigye was at Wampeo. Bobby Wine was supposed to campaign, to hold his last campaign in Kabubu, and President Museveni in Kitezi or something. So now Wampeo is just next to the road.
Yeah, it's beside the road. Yes.
So he came from his home here in Magere and just came with he came with a trailer. They just removed the truck and then just the bed. And he left the FDC camp very empty. That's the one I was covering on that day. He left it empty. So he did it in Jinja, he did it in Bugiri, he did it in Arua.
So now, Arua, it was a grader. There's something in police spokesperson, Emilian Kaima's statement, because Emilian Kaima was the police spokesperson. So he says they had recovered a grader. The grader has since been impounded and brought to the police station in Arua. So this is the so-called grader. Yeah. Yeah.
So people were seated on that yoke.
That grader was massive.
Massive.
You could not even see the grader itself.
Yes.
The people were
covered. Those guys are many.
Yes.
That rally was massive.
And that's how the FDC blended into the or into the
that
other
rally
people.
was massive. It's not like any rally you could see here. Those guys, I think the population is youth and they all participate. The guys were many. They were many. You could not even see the road. You could not even see the sides of the road for like almost, like a kilo. I don't know. The guys and they were dancing. Everyone was dancing on top. It was like, I don't know. It was massive. So even Besigye was like this. You couldn't do anything. The guys were like hyped up.
politically, that is one of the sins that the Besigye people have never forgiven. Bobi Wine. Yeah.
Oh, God.
That very part there.
Couldn't do anything.
Politically, the Besigye people have never forgiven Bobi Wine.
For that kind of upstage.
Like, how do you upstage our man in Jinja?
Yes.
Then you are coming here.
Then
also,
in Arua as well.
in Arua. And he was singing, telling them, come.
Yes, that is true. He was
Saying,
like,
come
you
over.
come. Yeah, you come.
over. And
he
they
took all
also were
of them.
coming. Yeah, he left
Messages.
27. He didn't take all of them.
It's left like the
The core guys who could not leave.
the ones who were staunch, the one who couldn't move, but the others who came because of music
They all left.
just took off.
Yeah, so it was an interesting thing. It was actually an interesting season, whereby we saw that it set a lot of pace for the kind of by-elections we've seen in the past.